Vienna, they usually think of coffee houses and classical music, but living in Vienna and having the day-to-day life is completely different. If you're thinking about moving to Vienna, Austria, and you're not quite sure what to expect, watch this video. So in this video we'll get the juicy pros and also cons of living in Vienna from me. Hi, my name is Tamara, and I think although I just moved to Vienna last year, if you want to get technical, I think I'm a little bit of an expert because, fun fact, I was born in Vienna, but yeah, moved actually to the city officially last year. So yeah, I think I can tell you a few things about living in Vienna and the pros and the cons, obviously. So let's just hop right into this video. Let's start off with the positive things about living in Vienna. So let's start off with a big thing, the quality of life. I cannot tell you how much I love the quality of life that I'm living here compared to other countries, European countries included. So first of all, if you do not like to drive, the city is perfect for you. It is perfect because everything is walkable. You can just like tippy-tappy and walk everywhere. Public transport is, in comparison to other European cities, very affordable. You do not need a car, you can just ride around on the metro and you get pretty much everywhere around in Vienna. No car needed. So that is a big plus for me because I don't even have a driver's license. It is relatively safe to walk around in Vienna. I don't think there are many spots that you will have to like actively avoid. It is relatively safe. I mean, yes, there are some areas where personally I wouldn't walk around at night. That would be probably at some areas in the 10th district. But even then, in comparison to other cities, let's just take New York for example, it would be like still safer to walk around in the 10th district at night than to just like walk around in some like places in New York. Just saying. So overall, Vienna is a pretty safe city. I feel like if you're into the slow life, Vienna would be perfect for you. Although it's considered like a big city, it doesn't give big city vibes. And then also the architecture is just... In summer, me and my friend, we went to have a picnic. We decided to go have the picnic at the museum area. It was so beautiful. We were just like sitting in between those like really old beautiful buildings, and then we just had a moment and we were like, can you believe we actually live here? We can do that like pretty much every single day. Like, how amazing is that? We just had like this weird moment of appreciation for like where we actually live. So yeah, architecture, like so beautiful. It low-key kind of gives like Paris vibes, minus the dirtiness of Paris. Not to bash any other cities. And this brings me to a next pro of living in Vienna. It is so clean. Will you find rats? No. You might find mice, but like rats, like big fat New York rats, nuh-uh. Not in Vienna. I really appreciate how clean the city is whenever I'm traveling to a different country or like city. I kid you not, after 3 days I'm like, I can't wait to get back to Vienna. I'm just like, no, I'm done, I'm over this. Like, I need it to be clean again. Please take me back. Another thing about Vienna is that it is relatively cheap in comparison to other countries and cities to live in. Rent isn't that crazy, like for example New York, where you pay $4,000 to live in a shoebox. There are also apartments provided by the city which are, in comparison to like the private apartments, so much less expensive and makes living in Vienna obviously so much easier. I think like in comparison to many other cities, the system they built around like affordable living is very good and reasonable. Obviously it's hard to get into this, I want to say, program where you can receive one of these apartments, but it's not impossible. So yeah, these are some pros that I came up with on the go. I think like overall Vienna is a very livable city and it is worth coming here. And also if you think about living here in comparison to other cities, it is actually very good. We checked mark the pros, now to the juicy part. And like, I feel like every city, every country has their cons. Not everything is like pink roses and flowers, you know? So the cons are real. First of all, it is very difficult to make friends here in Austria in general. I feel like it's easier if you don't have the mindset, I basically want to become an Austrian, I want to learn the language and integrate so well and have like only Austrian friends. This will most likely not happen for you, and that is because like Austrians themselves, they're very close-minded. I don't know if that's offensive, then I'm really sorry. In that sense, they keep their circle small. In a way, they find their best friend from kindergarten, and that is their best friend for life. They're not necessarily open to get new friends, like actual friends. It is very difficult to get into one of these circles. Also, I don't want to say that every single Austrian is like that. Sometimes there are obviously Austrians who are a bit more open-minded, but usually it is very hard to make friends in Austria, which I feel like also goes hand in hand with them not being necessarily open to other cultures, other people and their traditions, and leaves the question open, do you even want to be friends with someone who doesn't necessarily 100% accept you for the way you are? Another con is the language. Obviously, German, it is so hard to learn German. Keep that in mind, which you will have to learn German at some point. People do speak English in Austria, and it's not that hard to get around if you do not speak German. The only thing is, if you want to make a living here, you will have to be able to speak German, and that on a relatively good level. I mean, there are obviously some international companies, but very rare. I had a friend who started in one of these international, like so-called international companies, and they told her that the main language will be English, and then she showed up and it was not. So that could also happen, I guess. Keep in mind, if you want to work in Austria, you will have to learn German in a professional setting. And obviously there are some cons as well, like the weather. Winters are really hard. I mean, could be worse, honestly. If you don't like winter like me, you will be miserable during these months. Keep that in mind. Obviously it's not a beach town or whatever. There's a river that goes through Vienna, which is also really nice in summer, but yeah, it's not beach vibes, you know. Another thing that, I mean, if you want, you can turn it around and make this into a positive thing, but there will be no shops open on Sundays. You will have to do your grocery shopping latest as Saturdays if you want to have food on Sundays, which is really annoying, and you definitely have to get used to that. But on the other hand, if you want to turn it around and make it into something positive, you will never have to work on a Sunday. In general, I feel like shops are closing so early. I mean, if you're lucky, some shops are open until 8 p.m. latest. Which again, if you work in retail, it's nice to know that you can get home at 8 p.m. Also, Saturday shops are closing earlier. They're closing already at 6 p.m. Yeah, it's very stressful at times, but I mean, I've been living like that for a very long time. It still annoys the shit out of me. Yeah, I guess you get used to it, so. And another con, which I feel like I've already touched when we were talking about socializing in Austria. I wasn't sure at first if I should include that, but I think it is a very important point, especially if you're considering moving here and you know, don't look like the typical Austrian. If you, for example, look like me, yeah, it is real. Racism is real in Austria, and I think it is important to know if you like actually consider moving here. Obviously, this isn't just an Austrian thing or like a Vienna thing. This is obviously happening around the whole world. No matter where you go, racism here feels different than in other countries. It's hard to talk about it, it's hard to touch on it. Obviously, I don't want to put like every single Austrian into like one pot and be like, oh, all of them, but enough. Main issue is there's not much education when it comes to what actually is racism. Many here believe that, okay, if I'm like violent against a certain group of people, that is racism and that only is racism. Don't be fooled. They want to convince you that it's only the old people who have that way of thinking, but no, it is also the young people, even kids. Like, racism is taught, and if I already see young Austrian children being racist, I know exactly this comes from their parents. It is not only the old people. I don't want to end this video with a bad note on how horrible it is here. It is not horrible at all. I just wanted you to know it is still a thing and can make living here a bit harder, but obviously it is a thing everywhere in the world. I love living here. I do not plan on moving anytime soon. I would choose Vienna over and over again. It is overall such a beautiful city to live in. There's so many things to do, so much culture to enjoy. So yeah, overall it is a very beautiful city. I hope I could give you a good insight on how it is living here. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Bye!